Well, first up, US President Joe Biden will be addressing the nation in just a short while from now, well within just a few minutes. This will be Biden's first speech after Donald Trump won the presidential elections, defeating Democrat Kamala Harris. The White House said that Biden will deliver the address at 1600 GMT, which is 21:30 IST, that's 9:30 p.m. Joe Biden also called Trump to congratulate the president-elect on his victory and invited him to the White House to discuss transitioning administrations. And earlier, in an emotional appeal, the Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, urged her teary supporters to continue fighting for the values they hold dear, albeit peacefully. On Wednesday, she conceded the presidential election to Donald Trump. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh got us this report from the ground.
While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
US Vice President Kamala Harris delivered a passionate concession speech to her supporters and the nation on Wednesday after a whirlwind campaign that failed to stop Republican Donald Trump's return to the White House.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting.
Hundreds of her supporters, many teary-eyed with the election debacle, gathered at Vice President's alma mater, Howard University, to witness her final speech of the election season.
Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
I believe that she is a viable candidate for the presidency, was a viable candidate. And she held a lot of beliefs that a lot of us believe in and a lot of beliefs that a lot of us didn't believe in. But at the end of the day, she was the best candidate. She was the best one to go forward.
I think the results are definitely a little disappointing, considering that I am a student here and I really did have high hopes for her to win. But we pivot. We have to find new ways to make a change within our system, whether or not we got the result that we wanted in the end. So I'm just curious to see how these next couple of months are going to go, and even the months leading after his inauguration.
Sometimes you're given everything. Sometimes it ain't earned in 2 months. She wasn't chosen. She was given.
Kamala Harris tried to give a good fight to Trump, having just over 100 days to campaign for the high-stakes elections. She prioritized women's reproductive rights as an issue in the elections. She was joined on stage by the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. As Kamala Harris conceded the elections, she delivered a moving address to her supporters, asking them not to despair, urging them to unite and mobilize, and that some fights just take longer to win. With camera person Jayashankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DT India in Washington, D.C.
Let me now take you across to my other colleague who's been covering the US elections and the culmination of it, or we can say that it's not really still culminated. Amritpal Singh joins me from Florida, where he's been staking out Mar-a-Lago, the second home of Donald Trump apart from New York. Amrit, how's it going over there? What are you hearing about the burden of expectations that weighs heavy on Donald Trump. How is that channeling his activities at the moment at Mar-a-Lago?
Let me tell you the personality of Donald Trump. There is no burden on him. Look at this victory speech, Gautam, that he gave. There was clear triumphalism evident there. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, in her concession speech was gracious, saying, don't despair, we'll work together towards, making it an inclusive society. But Donald Trump is the man that he is, and there is triumphalism. What is happening at Mar-a-Lago right now is, many of his supporters are there, especially his close circle, the team that he worked with. There are people lobbying to get into his team. So his strategists are weighing all that, and most importantly, in the U.S. cabinet, in my opinion, the most important position is one of the Secretary of State and the other of the Secretary of Treasury. But here, right now, the biggest debate is around who will be the next Attorney General. Because Donald Trump has...
I thought the biggest debate would be around what would Elon Musk be doing.
Okay, Elon Musk, what we are hearing is, yes, Elon Musk, what we are hearing is could be hired as the chairman of the Efficiency Commission, and he could be suggesting to Donald Trump how to go about fixing the economy in sectors that are growing, especially emerging technologies. So a commission of efficiency is what we are hearing in the public domain. Of course, all that has to be get to know once it's officially announced, once he announces his team. But that's what the debate in the media networks here is, or in the political circles here is. On AG, why it's important? Because he's got cases against him. Though once he becomes president, presidential immunity kicks in, but he would want to see that in the judicial system he can get rid of the cases for good. So that is what's being hotly debated here, Gautam.
Yes, you're talking about the next Attorney General, and I'm surprised that Jack Smith hasn't put in his papers yet. But in terms of what he will do and how he will go about doing it, his promises, principally, one could sort of list them as top 10 or top 7 promises. Do you think that he will deliver? He has intention to deliver, as he promised. He's promised that he'll go after not just his opponents, but he'll go after a lot of people who are there in the country illegally. He will shut down or seal the border, and he will give tax breaks, and he will impose tariffs. Apart from doing so many other things, that has a lot of people around the world fairly jittery.
That's right. He's made a lot of promises, and tall ones at that. It will be interesting to see that how he affects them. You asked me, does he have the intention? Yes. Does he have the right atmosphere in terms of support from the Congress? Yes. He's won the House. He's just shy of the majority in the House. The Senate is already his. So, with the kind of mandate that he's got, if he really wishes to do, he can. And looks like he has the intention. But the thing is that, is it possible to, say, carry out what he promises, the biggest mass deportation exercise in the world? According to the Homeland Security, there are about 11 million illegal immigrants in the country. And let me tell you, I traveled to, the places where they enter. I traveled to the ranches in Texas. While the white American, the Bible Belt says they have an issue with illegal immigrants, but I pointed to them on their farms. You have the Haitians, you have the Guyanese, you have the Latinos working. They cannot survive without those migrants. Look at the cabbies driving the cabs in New York, in Manhattan. My own driver here is a girl from Colombia. She's seeking political asylum here. She entered illegally. So this society requires those migrants to do their jobs. Donald Trump's rhetoric will have to rework that, because if he does affect that, United States of America has structural issues to deal with. Gautam.
Yes, it can be potentially chaotic, and nobody wants that. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Amritpal Singh.